Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and no global pandemic in the universe can stop me from reviewing all of this year's Eurovision songs, even if Eurovision itself isn't happening, and I'm still sad about that. But nevertheless, today it is the turn of Ireland, because as I said, I made a commitment to review all of them, so nobody is safe. Not even you, and you are a neighbour of mine. Why am I talking to the flag like it can hear me? Clearly you are an ambassador for the entire nation. So, Ireland 2020 then. RTE were planning on submitting Lesley Roy with a song called Story of My Life. It has nothing to do with One Direction, and why would it, honestly? It's just that's the first place that basically everyone's minds went when they heard the title, even though you're allowed to call the song a thing just because some other artist did it first, you know. Anyway, it was presented fully in English, music and lyrics by Lesley herself, as well as Robert Marvin, Kat Gravitt, and Tom Shapiro, who, to my knowledge, are at least comparatively big names in the American country music scene, which is a bit of a surprise, especially if you listen to this song, because country it ain't. Well, it's representing a country. Does that make it country music? Terrible joke, Tess, you're banned from life forever. First impressions, then. Okay, Ireland, let me level with you, both as your neighbour and as a Bulgaria 2018 stan. Don't come out of the gate swinging, saying you've got something on par with Euphoria, as if that's something to be proud of in my opinion, but go off, unless you've actually got something that can back it up your sleeve. Don't get me wrong, this is a fun little boppling, and I'm glad to see that it does have its fans, but this isn't the next big thing. It was never going to be. No offence to Lesley, because she's a lovely woman, but this is a less than sure qualifier from the 2010 contest. This is Diet Etc. This is a vocal warm-up for Pink. You remember Pink? Pink the singer? She was famous about 10 years ago. By all means, be proud of sending this song. It is well produced, after all, and sung by someone who clearly believes in it. But don't delude yourself over how well it was going to do. Remember Bulgaria 2018? They were an actual favourite to do well, and then their level of self-confidence backfired on them in the eyes of the fandom. You hate to see it, but you don't even have that level of hype to fall back on in the first place, and you never did. But this isn't meant to be an anti-Ireland rant by any means. It's just, hopefully, this whole thing has taught Ireland that next year, maybe don't be quite so smug unless you have a song that will actually rise up the betting odds, because this was never going to. And as I said, you hate to see it. Still, I'm not going to be mean to this song throughout, because really that wasn't my intention. If anything, it's just impatience with the Irish broadcaster rather than anything else. But anyway, this song's strongest aspect, far and away, is its subject matter. It's a good one, and an underutilised one at that, though it does come at the cost of being at least somewhat self-aware, which, as I've philosophised over in the past, can work against you on the Eurovision stage. People don't like to be reminded that they're watching a performance, they want to be engrossed, and of course, this sort of subject matter sort of requires the singer to be aware and, like, out and proud self-aware that they are a singer of a song, rather than, well, you know. Still, I do think that this song wears its message well and conveys it in lyrics that absolutely aren't mindless in how they're delivered. Specifically, I'm thinking of lines like, "Rock it all you want, but make it pop enough." All these talks of false compromises, and in a way, this kind of presents similar ideas to Georgia's song, but in this case, it's from the perspective of a musician in a recording contract rather than a lover in a relationship. But apart from that, the parallels are there. Just make these little changes, these little quality of life tweaks, but then to the person singing, it's like, you're asking me to completely change who I am, and I'm not prepared to do that. Oh, don't be so unreasonable. You're the one being unreasonable. That's kind of the gist of it. To that end, this is yet another performance from this year's roster of songs that comes across so genuinely and believably from the singer. Lesley is the perfect storm when it comes to presenting this song, because I can truly believe that she's singing from experience, that she has had to put up with that kind of rubbish from snobby producers in the past. And honestly, what with certain things trending on Twitter at the moment pertaining to big-name American singers and all of that stuff, it seems pertinent now more than ever. And also, I can believe that Lesley does want to rebel and stick it to the man based on those experiences. And this is a fun song. It's about taking delight in that act of rebellion, and wouldn't you know it, Lesley looks and sounds like she's having immense fun here, but not at the cost of the credibility of her performance. That is a tough balance to strike, and Lesley nailed it. On the instrumental front, meanwhile, this song delivers an enjoyable rhythm on two different levels. The beat and prosody of the verses are just satisfying to listen to, and they make a perfect complement to the build-up and explosive energy of the refrain, and the refrain is just a straight-up pop bop that you can bounce along to. Call it a softcore mosh pit, I suppose. There was a minigame in Mario Party 8 roughly to this effect, but with completely different music because this song didn't exist in the grand old days of Mario Party 8, which was a good game, by the way, but time and a place, Tess, time and a place. To that end, I would say, while it lacks the international, all-ages accessible appeal of some of the other entries I've reviewed this year, there is actually kind of low-key room for this in the musical charts. Not the mainstream charts, but more like, well, there is, or certainly there was when I was younger, I haven't checked for it recently, a TV channel in the UK called Pop, which was sort of half kids' TV shows and half pop music videos, and it had a counterpart in the form of Tiny Pop, which was to pop as, say, Nick Jr. was to Nickelodeon. That right there, sincerely, and I mean this as a compliment, that is where this song feels the most at home, despite the fact that kids, especially of Tiny Pop age, would probably struggle to relate to the deeper nuances of this song, but yeah, and for what it's worth, musical Tiny Pop was the good stuff back in the day, and I will fight people over it, assuming that anyone actually remembers. Huh. That said though, that last positive point that I touched upon is also far and away this song's biggest weakness. I've mentioned previously how some people just have this knee-jerk reaction towards songs they think only belong in Junior Eurovision. And, well, this is absolutely one of the songs that would fall foul of that. It's not just based on the, oh, this would fit in with the other songs at the junior contest sort of aspect here, though. Consider the Horrid Henry-esque na 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 within the refrain, which serves as the song's memorable hook. You could describe it as flat-out childish and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. Thus, some listeners may feel alienated by what they perceive to be infantilization on the part of the song's instrumentation and narrative. The music video kind of faces a similar problem, and that probably would have extended to the live staging too. It leans much too heavily on the notion of freak appeal. That is, trying to garner support from people who view themselves as different or other, or who are generally outcast or bullied. It invites them to engage with the song first and foremost because they're the most likely to relate to this desire to rebel. I can relate to that. High school was utter hell for me. The problem isn't that the song reaches out to such people, but that the music video goes too far into that. That is, they use massively exaggerated caricatures to try to convey that idea. I can relate to being socially rejected and all of that bad stuff. I can't relate to wearing clown makeup in a shower cap. It comes across as social outcasts as portrayed by people who have never experienced it firsthand. And that comes across as insulting more than anything else. Like, well, these people are different, so they must be out and out super freaks, and like, no, you've just offended me, actually. But maybe I'm just being cynical. So let's shift gears and look at something technical here instead. The distorted guitar bass line is a bit of a problem in my mind. On one hand, it works brilliantly with the air the song wants to set for itself, and I do appreciate that. But on the other, it's constant, it's driving, and certainly through headphones, it's drilling. I don't want to call it annoying necessarily, but that is exactly the word I land on when combining it with the song's other childlike aspects. If nothing else, it's not the first song this year where I worry about how distracting or possibly even painful it may be to neurodivergent people with sensory sensitivities. Am I reading too much into it? That's for you to decide, I suppose. For now though, numbers. Right, if there were any truth in political voting at all, then I'd be compelled to give this a ridiculously high score, but sorry Ireland, you get a personal 6 out of 10 from me, and I am not stuttering over that. It's fun and enjoyable, I won't deny, and it really appeals to my inner child. See, for reference, that whole discussion about Tiny Pop. You know, there is a part of me that does get along with this song. I could be friends with this song, and Lesley is a good artist from what I've heard. But if this song were any longer than it already is, I can almost guarantee that it would leave me with a literal headache. Granted, I would rather listen to this than many songs that are in the actual charts right now. Key example, Justin Bieber's Yummy was playing in the background when I wrote this part of the review. You know, that song where he just sings dead bird, dead bird, dead bird over and over again. Yeah, this is better than that caliber of rubbish. But given the choice, there are many other songs from this year's lineup that I would rather listen to than either of the aforementioned. But hey ho, you could do a lot worse than this song. It certainly won't be my last when I make my top 41, which yes, I do still intend to do. Similarly, I feel this is worth a 6 out of 10 on the technical side as well. Credit where it's due, it's well produced and very well performed. As I said, Lesley suits the song aesthetically and attitudinally. She's a great performer and she embodies this song well. The problem is, it's rather difficult to listen to, especially multiple times over. Sure, it's not designed to be listened to on loop, but still, the fact remains it's almost headache-inducing in a single listening, and that should kind of be a bit of a red flag, really. Still, credit to Lesley and the energy she brings to the song. That, and the heart she puts into the performance, I will not hold against her. It's just... do I need to say much more about the songs? The songs' shortcomings. You know what, we'll go with that because that's more or less what Ireland's attitude deserves here. But what do I mean by that, I hear none of you say, because this is a pre-recorded video? Well, in the grand scheme of things, I would have to give Ireland a yellow arrow for this effort. Sure, internal selections do seem to be the way to go for Ireland for the time being, what with the actual effort that has been put into the artist selection in recent years, but RTE are seriously going to need to get their act together if they're hoping for a good result to show for it anytime soon. When they selected Lesley, but before her identity was public knowledge, they made a big deal out of the fact that, ooh, we've picked an LGBT artist. But the way they went about promoting that made it seem like their attitude was, hey, look, we've captured an exotic pet. Hey, we didn't qualify last year, but look, gay. That means all is forgiven, right? You'll put us through to the final, right? Because that's what made us qualify last time, right? As if credibility can be bought and sold so trivially. It feels like Lesley's identity is just being used rather than, like, treated like she's a person. Is that just me? Am I reading into it? Beyond that as well, I've already pointed out how Bulgaria 2018 went south the moment they suggested that they had faith in their song, and they were one of the favourites in the betting odds. Pro tip, RTE, don't claim that your song is the next coming of Conchita if you don't have the hype and substance to back it up. It's just embarrassing for all of us. No offense to Lesley, as I said, it's just, this song is not the solid gold loaf of bread they were promising to slice for us, and it's sad that no one at RTE seemed to realise that when they hit send tweet on the, yes, we're going to get all of the points kind of attitude. And now that painful question of, would it have qualified? Honestly, I'd actually kind of call this one borderline just a little bit, because working in its favour is that there are people out there, I see you Snow Cold, who sincerely love this song, and frankly, more power to you. As well as Lesley's honest-to-goodness self-belief and infectious energy she puts into the performance, as well as the song's driving energy and rebellious nature. It's like, I suppose, sort of like San Marino last year, but a bit less self-aware and a bit more novelty. Working against it, meanwhile, is its relatively juvenile presentation, potentially annoying soundscape, and the fact that it was drawn into semi-final 1. So, away from the UK, which would likely be the most country to forgive this song's shortcomings, or shortcomings if you will, and in and amongst some of the heavy hitters of this year. Heck, it was drawn into the same half of the show as Lithuania and Russia. The former has the appeal of being one of the hot favourites, and the latter, or so I've been told, I've not actually heard it yet, would most likely vacuum away any leftover points that people were going to throw towards energetic novelty songs. So a qualification wouldn't have been out of the question, but I certainly wouldn't put money on it. But that's just me, that's just my take, I could be completely wrong, we'll never know. iCard, do you like this song, do you not, do you feel neutral? Let me know, but click in the end card of this video to listen to the song for yourself, come back, tell me how you feel. As I said, poll in the corner, comments underneath, live chat if you're watching the premiere of this video, and yeah. I would wish Ireland the best of luck this year, but this year ain't happening, so I know Ireland's taking part next year, they've not said if they're sending Lesley again, but if nothing else, please learn from this. Don't get ideas above your station unless you have the song to back it up. No offence though, because Lesley, you would have been a good representative for Ireland.